Hi there, it's Nicole today with a card featuring Lawn Fawn dies only used to create this card that's all die cutting, or these two cards rather. These are baby themed cards, but with switching out some colors and switching out the scripty border dies used, because Lawn Fawn has tons of them in their collection, you could make these celebration type cards work for all kinds of different occasions. There's an I love you, there's thank you, there's celebrate, Father's Day, Mother's Day. There is literally almost a greeting for every occasion you can think of in the Lawn Fawn line, which is so incredible. I did do my die cutting off camera to save time. With all die cutting cards, so much die cutting kind of goes into it, but it really does create an amazing card design. Both cards are created exactly the same. I have a piece of vellum die cut using the stitched cloud backdrop portrait. There's portrait and landscape, so depending on what orientation you want your card to be. In this case, where I have that long scripty greeting, the portrait style really worked better, and I wanted that subtle cloud design in the background. Over that, I am layering a stitched rectangle frame die cut from Simon Says Stamp white glitter cardstock. I really wanted it to be subtle, but still frame up the card just a little bit. Then I've got loads of balloons from the Party Balloons die collection, die cut from different shades of cardstocks. So the solid cardstocks are Lawn Fawn Ballet Slippers and Raspberry cardstock. And the glitter cardstock is a pink glitter cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. So a nice combination. I like the combination of the flat and then the glitter. I'm also trimming down my balloons. Instead of tucking them under the edge, which would make the frame kind of wonky, I decided to just trim them with my scissors. You could probably measure them or use a pencil and really do it a little more high-tech. I used my fingernail to mark where I wanted them to be trimmed, took a pair of scissors, and simply just trimmed those out. Really, the main focal point here is the die cut greeting is the balloon string, and I used it for the largest balloon in the design. Because it's the focal point, I really needed to make sure that anything behind the greeting, which is this one raspberry balloon here, was already adhered. And then from there, I want to adhere the big balloon that goes with this sentiment, because I knew it needed to be trimmed down a little bit. It is the focal point. It is what this card, the greeting for this card. So I wanted to make sure it was adhered first. And then we're just going to work our way out from there. So we've got additional balloon strings, die cut using the Party Balloons dies, and then the rest of the balloons. And I want to fill in the entire background with these balloons. It's a really, really simple design, but you can dress it up with just a few simple embellishments, which I'm going to show you here in a second once I have everything adhered. Those balloon strings I'm adhering with Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, just putting a little bit of glue on the back of those and then popping them in place. We have just a few more balloons, 3 more here to adhere. By having some of the balloons trimmed down so it appears that they're either coming down from the top or in from the side of the design, it really helps ground this card, and it grounds all of these little features. So it gives the illusion of a snapshot of an overall bigger picture, which is what we're always going for when creating a scene. This is a little bit more of a non-traditional type scene than what I usually create. You probably are used to seeing like critters and those kinds of things to create a scene card. This is still a scene card. It's just a scene card featuring balloons. I die cut all the balloon strings from that white glitter cardstock as well. I originally die cut the greeting from a dark gray, the Storm Cloud Lawn Fawn cardstock, and it just didn't give me that soft baby feel that I was going for, and I switched it out, and I was so happy with that white glitter. It's just enough of a difference from the white and vellum of the background that you can still read it, but it also blends into the scene so much better. So always be conscious of your cardstock colors just like you are of your ink colors, because it does make a big difference and change the whole look and feel of a card. Now the little highlights on the balloons make a huge difference. I wouldn't have thought so before, but they really, really do. Also, do not forget the little dots for the eyes and the little apostrophe there for its. I'm just popping those out, using a jewel picker to pick those up and place them right into the glue. But those little highlights on the balloons dress up the balloons a lot. Because I'm not doing any additional inking or anything like that, all those little touches really make this a fun card. Got just a few more balloon strings. With any of the short balloon strings, I found it was easy to kind of manipulate them. I'm trimming them down, so I would use little scraps and leftover pieces for those shorter balloon strings. And that works really well and uses up all those little pieces without having to cut a separate balloon string that you're only going to cut down for those two balloons down there in the lower left corner of the card. I'm also taking some metallic thread. This is very, very thin thread, and I'm just kind of taking the strands apart. There's three of them in each length, and I'm only using one because I wanted it to be really delicate, and I'm just tying this around the bottom of the large balloons. So the largest balloons and then the medium sized. The small ones I decided not to do. I felt like that might be kind of overkill to do all of the balloons, so I just did it on the larger ones, and I'm going to tie them into a little bow. It can be a little tricky with such delicate thread. I'm going to snip the ends down pretty short, but to secure this so I don't have to worry about it going anywhere, I'm taking some glossy accents and placing a little dab of that right in the center of each balloon, and that's going to finish it off really nicely. So go ahead and do this last one down here. You can see it's a little bit tricky to work with. You could use a little bit thicker thread if you wanted to, or you could just tie it into a knot. That would be easier than trying to tie it into a bow, or you could leave it off altogether. So here are those little accents that I was talking about that are going to finish off the design. And I am using some Honeybee Stamps candy hearts, these nice little light pink ones, and then Pretty Pink Posh iridescent star confetti, and a combination of these throughout the card. For the boy version of the card, the difference with it is I used the white candy heart accents, but I still used the iridescent star confetti. The jewel picker is fantastic for picking up all of these little pieces and putting them exactly where you want them to go. So here is where I'm piecing together those final balloon strings that I was talking about a second ago. Down here at the bottom, it really does give it a much more finished look by having some balloon strings. And then I felt like I needed to fill in with a few more accents. And a jewel picker is just so handy for keeping your fingers out of liquid glue. I have such a hard time keeping my fingers out of it, so this is always a great way to pick up all these cute little accents and put them right where you want them to go. And this also finishes off the scene so nicely, gives it a really complete look, adds interest, nice decoration, some sparkle with that iridescent star confetti, and then those little hearts are just the perfect little accent. Don't be afraid to add some on top of the balloons as well. Kind of as I got the background finished, I went back and found little places here and there to add additional confetti. Now the last thing, even though these cards are all die cutting, on the inside of each card I am taking sentiments from Little Bundle, and I am going to stamp an additional greeting inside that says "Welcome Little One." For the pink girl version of the card, I used Lawn Fawn Ballet Slippers ink. I'm using the Misty to line these up and stamp those right inside my card. I think this gives it a really nice professional looking finished design or look. For the boy version, we're going to use Lawn Fawn Mermaid ink, which is going to go really nicely with the cardstock colors used on the boy version of the card. So here is a look at both of the finished cards. So much fun, so easy, and a great way to use your dies. Thanks for joining me today for these 2 baby cards featuring all Lawn Fawn die cuts. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring Lawn Fawn that you might be interested in. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.